Welcome everyone to Rewind Recap Relive, where legends and rising stars meet. I'm your host Jonah, and we are here today with a great edition of the show featuring Konnor, Big Con, formerly with the Ascension, now with the Awakening. He's coming on with the rebel beauty of pro wrestling, Nico Narciso, in an episode that is a bit on the longer side of things, but I promise you will enjoy every single minute. We talk the pro wrestling scene in Italy. We talk some great stories from Konnor's time in WWE. We talk some dream matches for Konnor and Viktor. They want to face the Rock and Roll Express and so many other teams. Konnor gives some great one-of-a-kind advice to Nico and so much more. This is a really cool episode, so make sure you stick around. But first, let's get into the winner of the Rattlesnake Pin, next week's episode, which I cannot wait for, and next week's giveaway. Now, there was a winner for the Rattlesnake Pin. A ton of you guys entered. Let's see who's walking away with this. Congratulations are definitely in order there, and as per usual here on the show, somebody's taken home the Rattlesnake Pin, so I need a new one. Oh, would you look at that? The best pin there is, the best pin there was, and the best pin there ever will be. It is the Hitman Pin coming to you guys, and all you gotta do is type hashtag R3 giveaway right down below in this Big Con and Nico Narciso interview, and you will be entered to win the Hitman Pin. Winner announced next week on our great episode featuring the Headbangers, both of them, Mosh and Thrasher, coming on with the House of Pain. I love this interview. We just finished it up actually right now, about 5 minutes ago as I'm recording this intro for this. We finished it up. Great. I've never laughed so hard in one of these before. Seriously. Definitely got to check it out. We've got ribs. We've got McMahon stories. We've got tag team road stories. We've got some tag team essentials. It is a tag team episode. That means 5 of us, including myself, are on that call. It's a party. It's a full house. Make sure you check it out next week. And all you gotta do is comment hashtag R3 giveaway right down below in this interview to enter to win the Hitman Pin. Of course, all of these pins courtesy of our great sponsors, the champs over at Wrestling Pins. Go there, purchase some pins, purchase some mugs, some stickers of the like, and make sure you type in RRR15 off upon checkout to get 15% off your next Wrestling Pins order. Go to the link right here or in the description below. We've taken care of everything. We are done, headed right for Big Con and Nico Narciso, and trust me, this is a really great interview. I can't wait for you guys to hear it, but first, if you could just go right down below, click that subscribe button, it would mean the world to us. Got business definitely picking up, as I keep saying. So many great guests just all piling in one after the other after the other. I hope you enjoyed that R3 exclusive that we just released with Sledge of ROH. That was really fun. I did that with Tyler, of course, from Count It Out. We've got some great guests in the works coming on, and you're going to enjoy it all. So trust me, you gotta hit that subscribe button. You gotta know what's up with Rewind Recap Relive, so hit that notification bell, ding ding ding, so you don't miss a thing. Like the video, make sure you share it around, but please, most of all, enjoy the hell out of Big Con, Nico Narciso. See you soon. Our first guest is coming to us all the way from Ancona, Italy. He's been going at it strong for just around 6 years now and is one half of the UKWA Tag Team Champions. Please welcome the rebel beauty of pro wrestling, Nico Narciso.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be in company with Ryan Konnor from the Ascension. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm excited. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Very happy to have you. And our next guest is a veteran in the industry, best known as one half of the Ascension in WWE, where he is a former NXT Tag Team Champion, the longest reign in NXT history, and now one half of the Awakening. Please welcome Big Con.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man. It's awesome. Hello to my friend Nico out there in Italy. And thank you for having me on as a guest. I really appreciate it. I look forward to this. I like the whole concept here. It's unique and it's really cool.
I agree.
Thank you both so much for that. That means a lot. Yeah, we try to have fun here and make some connections along the way in the industry. And so I'd love to start at the beginning for both of you. Nico, can you go first and take us through your journey, how you got started in pro wrestling?
Okay, so I mean, I've been a fan forever. Wrestling is one of my very first memories of my life. I was, I think, 4 or 5 years old. I was like zapping on TV, and I got into this Eurosport channel. So it's a sports channel that basically broadcasts all the sports that are happening in Europe.
Yeah.
It was mid 90s, so I had no idea what the promotion was, who the wrestlers were, but I got struck. It was a tag team match. That's all I remember. And I said, this is the coolest thing I ever see, and I will ever see in my future. And I actually stayed into it for a long time. Of course, again, it was the 90s, the early 2000s. There was not the easy access that there is now to wrestling content whatsoever. So you could only get, especially in Europe, what you could only get, what the national TV or some of the cable TVs were broadcasting. So I got some WCW in the dying days, 2000, 2001. Then a big trend, a big boom of wrestling started in 2003 and 2004 in Italy, because one of the national channels, national spread channels, was broadcasting SmackDown. And so between 2003 and 2005, everyone was into wrestling, and I was already before it. So yeah, I developed a very big passion through that period of time. Then the Chris Benoit thing happened, and everything got took away from the national TV scene, because some of the customers' assumption was claiming that wrestling was a bad thing. It was not educative. It was not good for the kids to watch it, etc. And everyone just got away from it, and it wasn't so cool to follow wrestling anymore. But I stayed into it, and fast forward to 2014. I started training, and 9 months later I debuted, and the rest is the short but meaningful, at least to myself, career that I've had so far.
Wow, I love that. I love how you stuck with it still. That's awesome. And look where you are now. Yeah. And we will get into that. Konnor, to you now. How'd you get into pro wrestling? What's your journey like?
Yeah, so I was a fairly young man when I started watching. And I started watching during the time of George the Animal Steel, the Killer Bees, Leapin' Lanny Poffo, and those were some of the guys that inspired me to want to become a professional wrestler, because I loved the theatrics of it. I thought it was really cool. And as time went on, it was just one of those things with me and my family. We would always, at the time, there was only 4 pay-per-views. Now you've got one every month. So it was a big ordeal, and what we would do is we would always pitch in, and we would get the pay-per-views, and family would come over to the house, and it was all my cousins, aunts, and uncles, and it would be like a big family bonding type thing, which was really cool. And so I started noticing as time went on, like this was something that brought family together, and it really intrigued me. I always loved it, but it was something that it was a good feeling. It was a lot of positive energy. So I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then I started getting into football. I kind of pushed wrestling aside. I became very active in sports. And then it just so happened that this is really cool. I was looking at trying to get into the XFL at the time, the original XFL back in 2000.
Wow. Yeah.
And so what ended up happening was one of my buddies, he ended up doing some landscaping work for a gentleman, and he called me one day. I needed the cash, and he said, "Hey, listen," he goes, "I need a hand, and I think it's something you might really want to come and check out and help me with." And I was like, "Okay, I could use a couple bucks, at the time." And so I ended up going there, and I was helping him, lay the foundation, everything for him. And then next thing you know, Lord and behold, Sergeant Slaughter comes walking out.
Wow.
Yeah. And so my mouth dropped, because Sergeant Slaughter was, I was big into G.I. Joe. And at the time, it wasn't so much of what he did as wrestling, but as a child, I grew up, he was one of my heroes. So all of a sudden you see Sarge walk out, and he's like, "Hey, kid." And we just kind of started correlating and talking. And he's like, "Have you ever thought about getting into professional wrestling?" And I said, I've always loved it, but I've never really thought about doing it. And so he kind of gave me some advice, and, you know, 20 plus years later, here I am, you know? So,
Yeah.
So wrestling's been nothing but great to me. It's, you know, brought me so much love. It's given me my family, financials. I love it. It's done so much for me.
I love that passion. And I can't believe, so you were landscaping for Sergeant Slaughter. That's who the gentleman was? Wow. That's what a story. What a guy to first meet when you're breaking into the business.
Right.
For you both now, can we get into training? Nico, if you want to go first, when you had that first experience stepping foot inside a pro wrestling ring, how was that for you, training? Did you take to it easily?
I mean, it was very emotional. The first time I saw a ring set up ready for me to get in and train, I was like, wow, this is what I've always dreamed of. And especially since Italy has barely no scene. Right now, we've gone steps ahead compared to when I started. But it's back then, it was very special to see a proper ring set up, and with the school and a good trainer like Red Scorpion is, the Bologna Wrestling Team School, ready for you to train. So to train him. So yeah, it was very emotional. I think I debuted much earlier than I should have. I wasn't ready. My first match is still on YouTube, by the way. It's pretty bad. It's very, I mean, I consider it outrageous and insulting towards professional wrestling, even though it's not really, really bad as a match. Actually, people had fun. It worked out, and it was a success in terms of reaction, of crowd reaction, and that's why the Bologna Wrestling Team, my school, and then a few promotions in Italy thereafter decided to bet something on me, because I did so good in my first match, even though I probably, in terms of in-ring technique and in-ring shape, wasn't ready for it. But then the real hard stuff started after my very first match, because I had to prove myself first in England. I got booked like not even 6 months into my career in a pretty big promotion. It's called LDN Wrestling. A lot of British legends have gone through that. The promoter saw my face and he liked me. He liked it. Yeah. He liked my face. He thought that he could sell it well towards the crowd as a rookie, as a fresh young man that was going into the business, but I wasn't ready by no means. So going into that period of time was really harsh. I had to eat a whole lot of shit, because I wasn't good in the ring. I wasn't prepared to handle the stress. I wasn't prepared to handle long matches and to put up with the cardio and all the technique that was required in the ring in order to work 1 or 2 matches a day, which was what happened in those first small tours that I did. So I think that even though a lot of people say, once you step into the wrestling ring, it's very hard and the bumps are terrible, and then eventually only once you take 100, 200, 300 bumps, then you start getting something out of it. I think that the hardest part was after I debuted, and that's the tours in England and the first 2 years of training after I debuted were really the harshest, because I was put into a pressure that I wasn't expecting. It was really much bigger than I expected myself to be, because when I started, I was like, okay, I wasn't too young. I was 25 when I debuted. So I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'm probably going to have a few matches and see how it goes. And then, 6 months later, I find myself in another country wrestling in front of big audiences, 400, 500, 600, sometimes even 1,000 people. And I said, wow, like this is unbelievable. And then like the real hard stuff happened. The real hard stuff
afterwards
started. Yeah. And I'm happy I got through it. And everything in terms of at least having matches in independent promotions got easier with the time going on. Of course, I never took a step into television. I never took a step into the majors, so I don't know what that kind of environment is all about. Of course, Konnor Ryan knows much better than I do. So yeah, that's a part of the business that I don't know. But in terms of independent wrestling, that's my story, and that's how my training development happened.
I think that's pretty cool, actually. The fact that, you know, people were quote unquote, you know, somewhat shitting on you, you know, and here you are, you know, just going through the grind, you know what I mean? That says a lot about who you are. And I think in the very beginning, when you talked about how you got into this business, and the fact that as we're learning your story, as you know, just push through all this negativity, and here you are wrestling in front of 500, 600, 700,000 people. And I'm sure you're gonna, you know, go up the rankings even more as time goes on. You know, I think it's pretty damn cool to hear that story.
I'm not that optimistic. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm not that optimistic as of late because of the pandemic. I haven't wrestled in 6 months now, and it doesn't look like it's going to start anytime soon here. It's a very hard time because, I mean, especially for a young guy like me that has only a few years of experience, it would have been so important to have 2 or 3 more years in which I could, you know, travel maybe to the United States or to Japan, to other countries, and get more experience and even more training. I would love to go to any of the good schools that I know about in the US, especially, you know, and get some training, maybe some independent bookings around, and that's unfortunately not happening. I'm not losing hope by any means, of course. I'm training every day. I did cardio today. I did cardio and weightlifting yesterday. I mean, I haven't lost any routine. Actually, probably I improved my training in this period of time that we haven't wrestled. But it's a very hard time to be an independent wrestler, man. I mean, it's not. It doesn't look any nice, and especially if, I mean, I had a full schedule in 2020. From January to July, I was busy pretty much every weekend, probably with 2 or 3 matches in some weekends, and everything got blown up. Not to bring negativity when actually we don't need this, but it's a very hard time to be an independent wrestler.
And I'm going to throw some positivity at you now, because that's not going to stop you based off of the story that you talked about earlier. So I know for a fact that even though this whole pandemic's holding you down a little bit, it's going to go away eventually. And when it does, guess what? It's just like a drug you can't stop, no matter what. Trust me when I say that. Like it just, you cannot stop doing this no matter what. And Nico, let me ask you a question, because I don't know a lot about you. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I am turning 30 in July.
So you're still a baby. You might not.
No, am I? Really?
You might not. But I'm gonna throw something at you right now. There's a lot of guys, and guys I know personally that are in, you know, the World Wrestling Entertainment, and they're in their mid 40s, some in the 50s. You know what I mean? You still have time, and you're looking at the dilemma that's probably going to be a few years, if that at most. You know what I mean? And you're not the only one that's going through this too, believe it or not. There's people that are out there, and
there's people in much worse places. I am 100% sure. When I addressed my last match, in which I won my very first single title outside of Italy, which was in October 24th, 2020, I said, I've had the best year that one could have in such situation. I won Tag Team Championship outside of Italy, first time international champion. I won a singles title in Italy, in Switzerland, so outside of Italy again, and that's in 2020. So I cannot complain. I know that I cannot complain, and that's why. The only problem is that, you know, I spent years in which I was probably like 30, 40 pounds lighter than this. I had zero wrestling technique to compare to what I had in the last 2 years. And I still had 40 to 50 matches a year, which was a big number if you consider like a guy that's just started. And I just feel like, man, if I could have this back now, like what would I do with it? I would go out there and like book training everywhere, book flights to go everywhere. So yeah, that's like, you know, that's the only small little regretting part of myself that I come up with in my head sometimes. But still, yeah, I know I'm young enough to make it or to do something good out of it. But I'm still considering the fact that I could not get up to the point of making a living in pro wrestling. In fact, I'm starting as a journalist. I'm doing other work outside because I have to be realistic. I'm not 20 years old, even though I look younger, and I know that. But I'm turning 30 in July, and I've had to, start making a living for myself one way or another in the past few years. So yeah, not to bring negativity, but I have to be realistic, and I have to see stuff like it is. There is a chance, even though like I know that I'm young and I know that I can do stuff, that I won't make it. And it's been living with me for a while now. And I hope you're right, man. But that might not happen. So yeah, it's a conflicting energy.
It will happen. It will happen.
Well, Konnor, something you could probably relate it to is your recent experiences. You're currently a trainer at the Lethal School, correct?
Yes.
In Tampa. Can you talk about that experience for you? How that's been training some rising stars?
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to like what Nico was talking about. So what's so cool, granted the pandemic is a horrible thing, but what's really cool about the pandemic also is that it's taught you to think outside the box and how to be more creative and to grow. And one of the things that I was much like Nico to where WWE and I cut our ties, and it was like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? You know what I mean? And so you relied on all these bookings. We were going up to the Northeast. We were doing some shows. We were selling places out, which was really cool because we got to actually have fan interaction, get to meet people, talk with them, and just hear how they viewed us and stuff. And it was the coolest thing ever. And then all of a sudden, just like that, it shut down. Yeah. So as time went on, my wife, she's in wrestling. And so it was one of those things where we reached out to a friend, Jay Lethal, and I didn't even realize he was right down the road for me. And we were going there for a while and we were training, and they found out that I eventually wanted to open up my own school because I was thinking about, how do I evolve now as a human being? How do I evolve from what I've done and, what I know? And so I had the idea of having a school. I spoke with Jay and I spoke with another friend of mine, David Mercury, and we all sat there and they're like, why don't you just jump on the band with us? And I was like, are you serious? And so it gave me, new life. It made me rejuvenated. And, now we've got 40 plus students, and it's just one of those things where, when I get to have the students, they're excited. They want to learn. They're hungry. And we just crank some badass heavy metal. We crank out the blade. And we just start hitting the ropes, blowing up, breaking a sweat, learning new moves, having matches, telling stories. Like, it's the coolest thing ever, man.
That's so cool. So do you think you'll go through opening up your own school in the future, or right now you're pretty content there?
Man, yeah. So, I've got my original trainer, he started down in South Florida, and now he's opening up a school. And so I'm going to go down there and help him out as well. I kind of like the idea of floating around and helping schools. But of course, our love for Jay, I mean, he's just absolutely adored, and him and David Mercury in our household. So it's, so that's always going to be home base for me. And, I'm going to do anything that, I can do to help that school and those kids. But I do like the concept of having my own school eventually. But I also really like the idea of working, especially with Jay and David Mercury, because we mesh so well together. And we've come up with some great ideas. We've done things so far, building brands with like Future Legend apparel. We've worked, we've got concussion protocol coming to the school. We've got acting coaches that come there. We've got a lot of the seasoned veterans that come in there, like Steve Kern, Joe Malenko. So we bring in veterans that could just drop just as much, if not more, knowledge. I would love to have grabbed Lanny Poffo, because he stopped in there a few times as well, which is so cool because, like I said, when you go back, he was one of my idols. I just thought, I always wanted to catch a Frisbee when I was a kid from him. When he was out there and pro.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, man. And, really quick, I found out that every Frisbee that he threw out, which is just awesome, by the way, he would write a poem on the back of those Frisbees. They were all different.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Every Frisbee was unique. I had no idea until he told me personally. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
It's funny that you say that because we actually had Lanny as one of our first guests, like way back when. And he said that once he found the Frisbees, like he knew he was over once people were going crazy about it. And to hear someone who's made it like yourself saying that that's what got you into it, that's just amazing full circle.
Yes.
Really cool. Really cool. Well, Nico, for you, I want to know now when you crafted, because Konnor just mentioned they have acting coaches that go in and persona is a huge thing in professional wrestling. How'd you go about crafting the rebel beauty of pro wrestling, Nico Narciso? Who are you when you flip that switch and walk through the curtain?
I felt it was necessary because I started with a flat pretty boy gimmick that was suggested from Bologna wrestling team, from my training school and my home promotion to myself. Then I basically added the rebel nickname also because everyone in European wrestling especially started noticing that I am a social activist in real life, like outside of wrestling, and it kind of became too explicit not to incorporate it into the gimmick because I was picked on, especially backstage all the time. I was asked by fans also, like, this is a good part of your life. This is a good part of your of what you do. Why don't you bring that in the ring as well? And eventually, I decided to do it. And I mean, I think, especially when I portray a babyface character, it really fits well towards myself. It worked well, at least in the last 2 years. It worked really well because all the promotions that I was booked in decided to book me as a babyface. After I started portraying this persona in the ring, I was heel first because, you know, the pretty boy is usually the heel that adapts pretty much to any kind of other gimmick. But then when I added this kind of particularity into the character, I extended my babyface persona a little bit, and I like to think I don't know if it's true, but I like to think that when I go out as a babyface, I'm just myself. I don't have to, you know, portray a character. I don't have to force myself into do anything. I'm like behind the curtain. At least that's what I recall from the last 2 years that I have full-time wrestling, you know. Behind the curtain, I was like all the time. I would never go, I have to do this, or I have to act this way, or I have to catch the crowd's attention in this way again. When I'm heel, when I portray the villain, I always do that because I have to force myself a little bit. I have to, you know, tell myself to do the things that the crowd wants to see in order for me to bring them on my side, which means booing me, of course. But as a babyface, but as a babyface, I like to think that I'm just myself, and I don't know if Konnor's agree with that, but from all the, you know, theoretical seminars that I've participated into, especially from the former WWE or major promotion guys, they would always tell me that in its core, in its very essence, you know, wrestling is taking yourself and extending it to the point where it becomes attractive to the crowd.
I want to chime in on that, because he's 100% right. The one thing that and especially with World Wrestling Entertainment and a lot of the things that we went through, you never want to try to portray something that you're not, because by doing that, the fans first off can smell bullshit, and you never ever in this business want to insult a fan's intelligence. They're a lot smarter than I think what professional wrestlers give them credit for. They're very smart, and so you're 100% right on that. You always want to make sure you are who you are times 10, because it's always hard to push somebody to make them bigger, because we can always pull you in. It's the fact that it's the people that are closed off that don't know how to open up and allow the fans in and put themselves, you know, this bigger than life character. You can always pull somebody back in with charisma and just tell them to tone it down. But if they don't have charisma, I mean, it's like watching paint dry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's really well said. And you mentioned you had your first run with WWE, I believe around 2005, but then you cut ties and you came back in 2010. You went through quite a few iterations before you and Viktor would even meet and form the Ascension that we all know. So can you talk about some of those iterations, how you dealt with character development at that time?
Yeah, it was a hell of a journey.
Yeah.
So it all started with NXT season 5, the original NXT one that we all really loved. And I got voted off, and I was pissed off that day because nobody likes to be pushed aside or feel rejected. Nobody likes rejection, right? And so and those were like all those votes were real. And I'd made it so far, and then I got voted off. I think there was 3 of us left, and then I got voted off. I was so upset. Anyways, I got a text message from Bill DeMott at the time, and he said, listen, he goes, come into practice tomorrow. And this is when there was FCW. He said, we've got an idea for you. And then being him and Dusty Rhodes, it was like, we have an idea for you. Be at practice first thing in the morning. And I said, yes, sir. So I get there, and then it was Shaul Guerrero, it was Tito Colon, and it was Brahm. It was Jesus, but Ricardo Rodriguez, and it was me. And so they said, well, we have an idea for the 5 of you. And I looked and I said, how in the hell is there an idea for this? This doesn't even look right.
Right.
It just does. How does this even mesh? Like, it just looked like you were throwing, 5 people together, and, hopefully this works. If not, we wish you your best future endeavors. That was the feeling you got, So anyways, I just trusted the process. One day, Ricardo Rodriguez, he flew out to California because he was still doing TV with Del Rio. And I texted him, I said, hey, listen, I go, we got promos today. What would you like us to talk about? As I'm texting him, he says, talk about the Ascension and what it means to you. So I was like, okay, cool, done and done. And so Ricardo Rodriguez always wore black. So I said, listen, let's just look businessy. We all dressed up in black. We all went there. There was 5 of us. So we all stood in different unique spots, and we had Shaul kind of in the upper front of everything because she was obviously, when you think of a female, that's the eye candy. So we cut the promo and everything like that. And the next thing you know, DreamHack calls us into the office. And he goes, listen, Hill, baby, what do you see? And we were looking at it. And I literally looked at him and I go, 5 jackasses. And he goes, no, baby, I see vampires. And this was like when True Blood was the big thing at the time. And Shaul was like trying to smarten us up and everything. And I was like, okay, yeah, vampires. And then he looks at me and goes, Ricardo Rodriguez, he ain't no vampire. He's fucking out. And I go, oh, no. I was like, no, you don't understand. He's like, you want me to tell him or you want to tell him? And I go, you tell him. I ain't telling him. So that was how the evolution of the first brand of the Ascension, where it was very gothic and magical.
Right.
Then eventually, Tito or Orlando, he went up to the main roster with Primo. Shaul, I think she did her thing. I had been on bed rest that time because I broke my back. And so Tom Latimer at the time was the one who carried the ball for the Ascension. And so they started giving the magic light and all this crazy stuff. And then I sat at home for 9 months, 10 months. And I had to heal up. And as that time went on, I just said, okay, well, what can I do while I'm in this process of just sitting here? Well, I need to reinvent myself. So I hope you're listening to this, Nico. You have all this time off. This is your opportunity to reinvent yourself. So I came up with a concept of eyes that light up, this big jacket, and everything that I was afraid of, because I used to have nightmares about this dark figure that came out with these eyes that would light up. They would grab my leg and they would always pull me into the room. And it was just all black. And I would wake up. And I had this dream this nightmare since I was a kid forever. So all I did was bring this to real life in my imagination. I just threw it out there and I made it happen, and it worked. And then, of course, as time went on, Tom got into some legal issues. He got the boot. And then that's where Vic came. And then we put the contacts and scleras in his eyes. He had the magic book. He had all the stuff that we tried to get him to do. And then one day Hunter came up to me and he said, hey, he goes, listen, he's like, we came up with some new music for you guys, and we want to give you guys an edge. And so we want to get all that shit off of you guys, basically, and we want you to be who you guys are. And so that was the whole heavy metal concept. That's what we were with. That's what we love. And so then, you know, it was the chain mesh, and, you know, Vic with, you know, him just being the true badass that he is. And it just, that's what it morphed into. And it went through all these different transitions, of course, until what you saw main roster, which is what creative came up with. So there was like 5 different versions.
It seemed like it, yeah. And I feel like they get lost in the shuffle sometimes, because that was a lot of different creative minds, I guess, working on that. And a compliment, by the way, best entrance I think that I've seen in a long time still with you two. Seriously, I don't know how you enjoyed it, but I loved watching it.
Loved it. I loved the song. I loved the entrance, because we got to put that together. That was what we wanted to do. Right. You know, so it was just awesome. You know, it was who we were.
Right. Exactly.
Thank you for that. That's a compliment. I appreciate that.
Of course. Yeah.
All right, Jonah, can we just like shut the interview down now? Like he's told the best story I've ever heard. Yeah, it's pointless for me to even stay here.
You gotta follow. You gotta follow.
Come on, go. I know you got something, baby. Come on.
No, I mean when you were making the Dusty impression, I was
floored, right?
It blew my mind, really. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, I'm just I'm just very you know, it really gets to me, like the fact that you've lived all these crazy stories with these crazy people that I've always seen on TV. And actually, like you, I don't know if I remember your debut, but I would definitely remember the entrance Jonah was talking about when I was just a fan in 2010 and 2011, because that was a very bad period of my life. And the only thing that was that made me happy was wrestling, and I was watching WWE all the time. So I remember you guys, and you know, it's cool. It's cool at least that now we're sharing the same interview. Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. I appreciate it, Nico. It almost feels like an insult, but it's like, no, he means it well.
Why?
Making me feel my age. I appreciate it.
No, it's. I mean, I feel old as well. I feel old as well, man, and I haven't done not even 1/100 of what you've done in your career. So, I mean, who's in the worst place?
Nah, we're all family, brother. That's the way wrestling is. We're all a family, believe it or not.
Such a great way to look at it. Nico, for you, of all the rising stars I've had on, you do bring the most international flair, at least from my perspective where I am. So how is the wrestling scene in Italy? You touched upon it a bit earlier, but how has that travel been? What are some tactics you picked up along the way?
I mean, there are, at least before the pandemic, there were a few promotions that would have regular shows. Not every month, unfortunately. There's no promotion that gone up to the level of having monthly shows, and maybe like few territories to work on. But all the promotions that I've worked for produced at least 3 or 4 shows a year, and there are a few of them. And luckily, you know, I got not only to work in Italy, but also outside of Italy. Otherwise, my average number of matches every year would have been much lower than what I got in the first 4 years. And especially like in your starting years of your career, it's very, very important to get the experience, to get exposed to the crowd and make those mistakes that you're not going to make further when the crowd hopefully are going to become bigger. So it was very important for me to go outside of Italy. But in terms of the wrestling scene, everything is developed the most in the north. I'd say that I've wrestled 90 to 95% of the matches that I wrestled in Italy in northern Italy. There are a few promotions that run the south. There's one that I wrestled for a couple times that is below Rome. But the biggest promotions are definitely Wrestling Megastars, that has had a lot of superstars. In fact, the name comes from the fact that they want to showcase superstars along with good European wrestlers, and I'm one of the resident wrestlers
cool.
there. Yeah, and the other one is Rising Sun Promotion, which has a more indie wrestling style characteristic, but they've also featured superstars, and they've featured independent wrestlers that have gone up to the majors, like Angelico, Will Ospreay, for example, or some of the big names in Japan. Yeah, I have wrestled many matches in Rising Sun. I've wrestled many matches in Megastars, but that's pretty much what Italy is about in terms of wrestling scene, in terms of shows. I think that what really stands out in Italy is my school, because it was the only one that basically was good enough to produce talent that would go outside of Italy and have success outside of Italy also, all in independent wrestling. I mean, it's not like any television or any major company, etc. But there was no school that could produce talent that would go outside of Italy and make a name for themselves there. And that's, I think, all merit of my trainer, Red Scorpion, because without his knowledge and without all the effort that he put in, I would never done so good for myself. Especially outside of Italy. I'm then again, since I'm also the best English speaker, the guy who would go more, and look for bookings and try to make connection, especially in England, where the business is, much bigger than everywhere else. I'd say in terms of Europe, you've got England way above everyone. Then you've got Germany, second place. Then everyone else has like a lower level where there are a few promotions that make a few shows a year, but nothing regular, Whereas instead, England and Germany have a lot of touring promotions that they have like companies that could make more than 150 shows a year. So England is really the place to be when you want to wrestle in Europe. And I luckily had the chance to wrestle dozens of matches in England. I think they're above 40 or 50, and make a name for myself there. That because it's the richest, not only in terms of economics, but also in terms of attention and crowd participation. It's the richest part of the business in Europe.
So Konnor, for you, have you ever wrestled in Italy with your time in WWE, or you ever traveled?
I did, yeah, a few times I did. I just remember anytime that we were out in that area, the fans were just awesome. There's just nothing like that. And he was, Nico was just talking about the UK too, and there's just something that's special about that entire Germany, like the fan stimulation, like the way they play and they just enjoy it. There's just something special about the fans that are out there. I think the world of anytime I can go out in any of those areas, like, it's going to be a damn good time, because the fans are there wanting to have just the best time ever. Whereas more, Japan, they're more appreciative. And, the States, it's like, we're cool. We get excited, but there's just something about, the UK area and, I don't know. It's so cool. I used to love when we did European tours, just because you knew it was going to be a good time.
Yeah, I definitely know. You could see I've never actually been to one of those, but you could just see the excitement for sure. Very animated group of people. So Konnor, for you, this is a bit of a specific question. I know that you and a bunch of the other talent from kind of that time period were able to participate. I guess around like the 2012 maybe time period, were able to participate in one of Undertaker's WrestleMania entrances, right?
Yeah.
The one with the hands. I've always wanted to know how that was from somebody who was involved in that. If you have any memories or just how that was for you.
Oh man, yeah. Do I? I released a photo that was on my Instagram. That was out there from that, and and the people were shocked who it was, because it was, it was like, you had Sami Zayn, it was me, it was Vic, of course. Like, it was really cool. It was just a good group of guys, and we got chosen to do something magical, to be honest with you. And I remember specifically, like, when we were doing walkthroughs the day before Mania, Taker wasn't there. He was not there.
Oh, wow.
He was not there to do walkthroughs, nothing. So it was the coolest thing ever, because you're like, oh man, Taker's not here. This is crazy. Like you see everybody do their walkthroughs, and now he wasn't there. And so come WrestleMania day, when we loaded up and we're all underneath the stage and we're all getting ready, Taker still wasn't there. We hadn't seen him at all. And it was insane, right? And all of a sudden, you know, they start lighting up the place, you know, underneath. They start blowing the smoke up, the fog machines, all the fog machines started going. You could barely breathe. And they had this one big light on. And I remember you got the gong, right? It's like dong. And just like, I get goosebumps. And just, you could hear, it was in New York, and everyone started just, and we still hadn't seen Taker at this time. And then all of a sudden, you see the light was behind us. You kind of look back and you see this massive figure stand in front of the light. And I go, no fucking way. And right to my right of me was Brody Lee. And we're standing there and we're like, this is so fucking cool. And he's like, my God, Konnor. He's like, should we try to trip him? I go, dude. I was like, no, you know, but you know, Brody was just, he was just, you know, he always had fun. And so we're marking out, like, honestly, as he's walking past all of us, we're like, this is so fucking cool. And we're saying this as he's walking past us. And then we're like trying to reach for him. And I was like, Brody, I bet you won't grab his jacket. And then once it all happened, and you know, the smoke kind of cleared, and all of us were just kind of looking out, and it was just, I can still see it in my head. You see Taker, and you just see this mass aura of fans and people and lights. You know, people are taking photos, and it was just like, holy shit. Like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And that was our first WrestleMania experience, you know.
Wow, imagine that. Wow.
And that was, I mean, we were dumbfounded. We got to be a part of something, from my understanding, one of his best entrances ever. And just, I think for us and our selfish reasons, it was magical, you know. Who doesn't love the Undertaker? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, he's awesome. And then you get to be a part of something special. Like, it's just a win-win, you know. And then you get to do it with your friends too, which is even cooler. So,
that was a perfect experience. Seriously, I didn't even realize that was the one in New York, because I was there. I saw that, and it was amazing. Oh, his entrances are always cool. Yeah,
they're the best, man.
Konnor, so you have a very interesting perspective, I'd say, because you were on the game show edition you mentioned, and you know, you said we all enjoyed that one, and then you moved to become the longest reigning NXT tag champs in history. So you were there for that transformation of what we see NXT as now. So can you talk about that transition for you, if you have any memories of them talking about NXT, you know, changing, morphing, how that was for you and Viktor?
Yeah, well, first off, it was surreal at the time, because, you know, we came from FCW,
right?
And you know, there was rumors going around that we were possibly going to Orlando, but nobody really believed it, because, you know, it was just rumors. And then the day came where it finally happened, and then the big announcement happened with us, and it was like, whoa, this is crazy. So now what do? We got to move to Orlando. And so, you know, we go there, and then next thing you know, the first couple of weeks, you know, we're having meetings and things like that. And, you know, you've got all these cameras coming in, and you've got people, you know, they're trying to build sponsorships with people. So you've got people coming in, you know, that they're trying to, you know, possibly sign and work with. And so, you know, it was, you were constantly on the go, and even as time went on, like, from my understanding now, I don't know how true it is, because I don't really ask too many questions anymore. But from my understanding, a lot of the talent nowadays, they don't have to go to all the shows, if I'm not mistaken. We had to go to every show, and we had to work every show. It didn't matter if it was TVs, if it was, quote unquote, the coconut loops, they call them. But we were always on the go. And so, you know, still having that still being, from my understanding, the longest reigning NXT Tag Team Champions. Vic and I, who we were just training last night, like we take a lot of pride in that because, man, you talk about a grind. Like we had to grind our asses off. There were days where Vic would be injured, and guess what? I would have to protect him, and I would have to pull extra duty, and vice versa. Yeah. There were times where I was injured, you know, and then he had to protect me. So, you know, you'd have to get in the ring and work, you know, double duty sometimes, you know, but that's how it was then. Now, you know, it's cool to see how big it's become, because at the time, from an FCW transition to what it became in the Performance Center, you're like, how could it get any bigger? You weren't sure. You're like, how does this get any bigger? You know, we've got celebrities coming in trying to become professional wrestlers. You know, you're doing, you know, like meet and greets and things like that, things that we didn't have the opportunities to do at FCW. And then look at it today. Now they've got pay-per-views. They're in Brooklyn. You know, they're doing takeovers, you know, that have just gotten even bigger, where they, you know, where we would do everything in that studio at Full Sail University, and now they're actually going to arenas that are packed out. Well,
right, exactly,
now, obviously, but now, then they were packed out, and to sort of see the transition of what Hunter's dream was, how he turned it into a reality. I think it says a lot about the drive and ambition that they have when they put stuff on paper. Like NXT, it will always be home. It's just one of those things that, if you're a part of anything, and especially the transitional period, it's something you're proud of. You know, it's just cool to say, yeah, you know, you're a part of NXT, and to say that you're part of NXT history. I mean, that says a lot in itself, you know, and not just us, but there was a lot of guys that had, you know, a good part of that, you know, that made that machine bigger than what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely something to be proud of. Nico, for you, some proud moments from your career. Let's hear them. What are some moments, some matches, or maybe opponents that you know helped elevate your career higher, helped you get to where you are now?
I will say one match, one opponent, which is not from the same match, and one outside of the ring moment.
Okay.
I'll start with the latest. I was featured on Vogue Italia.
Oh, that's awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, it was just unbelievable. So this guy, the friend of mine, Alessandro, we're still in contact, by the way, and we're having more projects to add to the Vogue thing. He just saw me on Instagram and contacted me and say, hey, you could be a good model for a photo shoot. He proposed that to Vogue, and all of a sudden I pop up on the Vogue Italia main page of the photographic of their photographic website, and I was like, what? Like, this is incredible. I mean, like, when I started wrestling, I would have never thought that something like that would happen. Like, I would link wrestling to wrestling, you know, maybe like you start and then your dream comes true when you get to the WWE or somewhere else, if you like AEW, if you like NWA. But like, getting to know how far imagination can get in terms of what, like, wrestling related stuff or stuff linked to wrestling can happen. It was really an incredible moment. So of course my social media exploded. People were complimenting me. You know, I got a few bookings for photo shoots just as a model, you know, as a wrestling model, and it was nice little tips, by the way, because you know, most people saw me featured on Vogue, and I said, okay, yeah, if I'm a good model for you, let's go for it. I never considered, you know, a photographic career. I never considered to do like book photo shoots and propose myself to I don't know underwear companies or like whatever a model could serve for. But that was really good, and I hope there's going to be more coming out of it. The opponent I got the most out of is definitely Mr. Anderson. I wrestled him in Italy, and so cool. He was really the nicest guy to me. Really, he was willing to take anything. He adapted a lot to my wrestling experience and my wrestling style. He actually went up to me and asked me what I wanted to do, and I proposed him to stall his entrance and do the stuff in the ring, and then start right after when I finished, mocking his entrance, Mr. Narciso, to start beating me up, So yeah, I mean, as an opponent. It was a dream match. I hadn't slept for 2 nights before,
Right.
It wasn't even 2 years into my career. I wasn't expecting it at all. And like 1 month before, they tell me you're going to wrestle Mr. Anderson in that show. We did a seminar with him first, which helped me a lot because I could work with him before and get to know him and see how he moved in the ring, etc. So I was barely 2 years into my career, so like my experience was very little, and I was really afraid for that match. And it turned out to be very good, and he turned out to be the nicest guy ever. So like if I have to pick an opponent, it would definitely be him. And if I have to pick a match, that would be when I won the Tag Team Championships in Austria, because it was my first ever TLC match. And I got I climbed the ladder and got the belt myself right after going through a table for the second time. It was not the first time, but it was the first time in a TLC match. I know, Konnor, you're laughing at it because you went through the tables. I don't know how many times. Definitely, and I know it's something to laugh at for somebody.
Welcome to the business, kid.
I know, man. Yeah. There you go. I know I would have sound like a mark right now, but I'm still awesome. Going with it. No. And nothing. I was kind of afraid before the match. I was the less experienced, and I was booked to win. So everyone in the match, it was a triple threat TLC tag match. Everyone in the match was more experienced than me, therefore less willing to take bumps and to take harder hits. And I basically had to take everything. I took a body slam on the ladder. I took a ladder shot. I took chair shots. I took everything because I was the youngest one, the less experienced one, and the guy who was booked to win, all in the same. So yeah, it was more challenging before than during the match. I was just thinking all the time, I'm right now. I'm in this position where I'm the less experienced guy, so I have to show. I have to go up to the other wrestlers and say, I'm the one who goes to the table. I'm the one who takes the most bumps and hard hits during the TLC match. And then when I get through all of this, I'll have my moment and climb the ladder and become champion outside of Italy for the first time. So it's like, if I have to pick a match, it would definitely be it.
Absolutely. That sounds like it. First TLC match and winning your title.
That made me think of a story really quick where...
Of course, yeah.
I kind of went through the same concept, but not quite. He actually won. I don't think I won, if I'm not mistaken. Matter of fact, no, I didn't win. But it was when I wrestled New Jack. And I don't know if anybody knows much about New Jack, but so I had to wrestle New Jack.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that really didn't want to take a lot from New Jack. And I was the kid that was like, "Ooh, you guys are crazy. That's New Jack. I'll do it." And I asked him what he would like to do. And of course, he's the veteran, and, the New Jack, got along with me pretty well too, through Norman Smiley. So that kind of helped a little bit. But I asked New Jack, I said, what would you like to do for the finish? And it was a tag match, and it was me and this gentleman by the name of Cahagas. And he looked at me, which one do y'all want to take my finish? I'm going to come off the top rope and hit one of you motherfuckers with a shovel. Cahagas looks right at me. He goes, "You'll take it." And I was like, "I guess I'll take it." Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
How was New Jack outside of the ring, Konnor?
About a week later, I was sipping through a straw. That's how I was eating.
Yeah, New Jack takes it seriously. New Jack is I don't mean to like pull names because I know I said it earlier, but we actually had him on the show too, like way early on, New Jack, and he was giving advice and stuff, and it was so cool to see him like outside of hitting people with shovels off the top rope.
Oh man, he's a great guy.
Great, yeah. Amazing.
I've encountered him maybe a handful of times, so I don't know if he would know me, or at least remember me. I know if he saw me, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that motherfucker."
Yeah, yeah.
But
Exactly.
I've got to tell you, man, like, you seen some of the stories growing up and stuff, and you saw some of the videos and, some of those controversial things that he did. But the
Mhm.
gentleman that I got to know, I mean, he was above and beyond with me. I have nothing but great things to say about Jack. I've been in the ring with him, I think, 3 times, and every time was awesome,
Right.
except for the
Yeah.
shovel.
Except for the shovel. Well, to another interesting match you were a part of, much like Nico and his TLC, you were part of the first ever Tag Team Elimination Chamber match. That was a lot going on, a lot of moving pieces in that, which you guys dominated for the better part of. But I'd love to hear how that was for you, the lead up, if you remember like people
Oh,
pitching
do
it
I?
to you.
Oh,
What'd
I
you say?
definitely remember.
Yeah.
So for a majority, and you could ask anybody that, if you encounter, you can ask them the same question if you ever get a chance to interview any of these guys. But so the lead up to it was simple. A lot of the guys, when they get these opportunities, they have time to rehearse and work on things. That wasn't the case for us. Matter of fact, it was announced to us right there. We didn't have a chance to get in the ring. We had to walk through stuff, talk through stuff. So it was a very nerve-wracking day. And we had a lot of moving parts specifically for Vic and I too, in that match. And so it was a lot of memorizing. It was a lot of knowing where you needed to be at certain moments. And it was a lot of fun. It was a part of history. It was a lot of fun, but it was a very, very emotional day for all of us. We were very upset just because we wanted to get in the ring and walk through stuff, but we couldn't do that because there are so many bodies already there, and it was all the tag teams, and we would have just taken up the whole damn space. And then there was just a lot of moving parts, and you needed to know where you needed to be, and it was a lot. It was overwhelming, but at the end of the night, I think we were all fairly happy with everything when it was all said and done. There was a really funny moment at Kalisto, where Kalisto just kind of hung 10 up there for a little bit. And he was supposed to hit us before the entrance, but unfortunately the entrance happened. And then we're like, well, he's stuck up there for a minute. But it all worked out great for the most part. It was a lot of fun, hectic, but emotional. But you look back at it now and you're like, and those were some good times. You're in the ring with Cesaro, it was Tyson Kidd. I mean, my God, I'm probably the biggest fan of those two. Not just them as professional wrestlers, but them as human beings. They're just great human beings. So, if you look back at it and you're just like, damn, like that was pretty cool when you think about it. And
it was really unique. Yeah.
It was different, no doubt about it.
I really enjoyed it because I was always a big fan of the Chamber and seeing them put tag teams, something I never thought they would do, So it was cool to watch it. So you mentioned Cesaro. Do you keep up? Do you still watch WWE? You keep your eye on him?
So I try to watch what I can. It's really, I try to watch what I can. I think, for me personally, watching Cesaro over the years, I just think that he deserves so much. He's such a talent. God, man, he's got an incredible imagination when it comes to this business, when it comes to uniqueness and things to come up with, whether it's being creative or spots or just dressing up, even in gear in general. Like, he's always got these great ideas that, a lot of fans don't get the opportunity to see. I always hope that they just push him to the moon one day and they put that belt around him because he deserves it.
I absolutely agree. Definitely from a fan's perspective. And so, Nico, to hand it over to you, talking about Cesaro, some current day product. Do you have any dream matches out there from any of the promotions right now? Anybody you'd like to step in the ring with that you think your style would mesh well with?
Okay. I haven't watched WWE years now. Or at least regularly. I watch some of the pay-per-views, especially if there's like something big happening. I watched AEW and NWA before the pandemic because I think even though they're very different products, I think that's the parts the promotions that got me interested the most, especially NWA. They're very unique in terms of being, you know, retro and feel like that, make you feel, I mean, that revival, you know, of 80s wrestling, and with contemporary talent that are actually.
Do you
Sorry?
do you like studio wrestling? Is that because?
Well, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it, absolutely. I mean, it's a very, it's a very, it feels familiar. You know, it feels like intimate, especially towards the fans. You see the connections that when the guys do the interviews, because they don't call them promos, they call them interviews. When the guys do the interviews, you feel the connection that they have. Like somebody like Trevor Murdoch never got the chance to show as well in WWE. And then you see him like cut a promo in his mid-40s, by the way, in NWA, and you see, man, this guy is awesome. Like, why didn't I buy into him when I was a fan as a kid? You know, because WWE was showcasing him on B shows and on very short promo time and very short match time also. And that, I think that gives talent a more chance to show, and also it respects wrestling more, because I don't want to sound, you know, like somebody who knows what he's talking about, because if I did, probably I would be in a different place right now. But when I watch AEW, as much as they're really, really, really good in the ring, I feel like after I watch the first two matches, I've seen everything, because they do too much stuff. They do like this incredible long shines, incredible long heats. They try to showcase as much stuff of the talent that they use in the ring when they get TV time, which is good. But as a wrestling viewer, you get tired of it. Instead, NWA has the opposite approach. Matches are 1 minute, 2 minutes short at the beginning, the first 3 or 4 matches, and the good stuff comes at the end, because you got to build up the interest in the actual, you know, pro wrestling inside the ring, in order for the viewer, for the fan to be attracted by it. I want to be like in a good restaurant, right? Like you don't fill the plate with all the stuff. Whereas there's a very nice line from a film here in Italy that says, the restaurant business is the only serious thing about Italy in general, which is probably true. So when you actually have a good restaurant, you don't fill the plate with all the food that you have. You serve a good plate, but not with excessive food, because you want your customer to come back and try more stuff out. And I think that that's the approach that NWA is having right now, and it was working really, really well before the pandemic started, which brings me to the answer. Sorry for taking such a long time. I think Eli Drake would be my dream opponent, because it's just if I have to identify his gimmick right now, it would be the total package. Not like Slugger, of course, but he's like best promo I've heard in years. He's an incredible wrestler. He can do like, I don't know, he's like 250, 260 pounds, and he can do springboard moonsaults, you know. He has a perfect face, perfect physique, great ring gear. He acts like a superstar. He's also a nice guy, from what I understand from social media. So he's really the wrestling total package right now. And I know that he's in NXT right now. But I think that his time in NWA was actually priceless, and I really enjoyed following him. And if I have to pick one guy, it would be him.
That is a great choice. Wow, I love that. Konnor, for you, you have dream matches, that either ones that you fulfilled or ones that you still want to fulfill?
Yeah, Vic and I were actually talking about this, and I think, for us, there's a few tag teams we still want to get in the ring with, and one of them, of course, being the Rock and Roll Express, just out of just pure, just bragging rights, and plus those guys are incredible. So it would be an honor to be able to bump around for those guys, I think, and putting them over wouldn't even be an issue. They're just so cool. That was one of our big ones. And then we had talked about the revival, we it's funny, we really didn't have a lot of opportunity to work them when we were in NXT. And for me specifically, I've got a pretty good relationship with those two guys, and I think the world of them. I think their hearts, you can clearly see, they're all about wrestling. They love wrestling. They eat and breathe it. There's a reason why they're doing as good as they're doing, so for me specifically, I got to work, Too Cool, which was so damn awesome. And that was, I got to live a fanboy dream right there just by working those two guys. And that was above and beyond. And we got to work, Finn and Hideo at that time. That alone speaks volumes. So we've done a lot of really cool things, and still continue to do something. But rock and roll is like, that's my bucket list. It's like, that's the one I really want to do more than anything.
Would you take that Canadian Destroyer from Ricky Morton?
Absolutely. I would never tell him no. I'm 6'6", 300 pounds. I'm a perfect base for him.
Oh, absolutely.
I got him covered.
Oh, that's awesome. And we haven't talked much yet about you and Vic on the main roster. So I'd just like to get your overall feel, because there's a lot of opinions on once you guys got to the main roster from one half of the team. What were your thoughts on it?
It was what it was. I think at the end of the day, we wanted a lot more than we could get. There was a ceiling that was put on us. And that's not it's not a bad thing, but at the end of the day, business is just business. That's all it is. I've never looked at things personal. You're always going to walk away wanting more, no matter what, no matter where you are, what you do, you always want more. And even when you get more, it's still not enough. We would have liked to have won the tag team titles. Absolutely. We would have loved to be in main storylines. Absolutely. We would have loved to have been pushed the way we were pushing NXT. Absolutely. But that wasn't in our cards, and we had a role to play. That was our job, and we got paid handsomely for it. And it just kind of was what it was. It wasn't us. It's like I said, you always go back to insulting the fans' intelligence. Like, I have learned from being on the indies and talking with fans, they're not stupid. They knew what was up. And so for me, that's one of those things that make you, oh, it's okay. All right. I don't have to sit there and, try to convince anybody about anything. So, but at the end of the day, my students have even asked me this. They're like, would you recommend going to WWE because of some of the experiences that you had? I absolutely would. I told them, I think everybody should want to go there. I want them to have those memories that I've shared a little bit with you. I want everyone to experience that. I want them to have the financial benefits of that. I want them to have the road stories, the friendships, the bonds. I think everyone deserves that. It's in this business, and I don't know. I'm grateful for everything. I really am. I don't have any bitterness. I'm happy. I don't know how to explain it.
It's a good thing to be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I understand that. Well, that's good to hear. And we're going to start to wind it down now. So Konnor, quick question again here. Your favorite moments overall with your time with WWE, maybe something that us as the fans didn't get to see on screen, some relationships you developed. Yeah, I'd love to hear. Yeah,
I think one of the biggest moments and a turning point for my career was when I was in Deep South Wrestling and I had the opportunity to work with William Regal. And a lot of fans didn't know about that. A lot of fans didn't get to see that because it was developmental at that stage was, it was in its infant stages, especially with Deep South. So the TVs really didn't hit that many markets, and little, if any, to be honest with you. But that was a really big thing for me because I had always looked up to him. I read his book. I knew about him beforehand. I've always looked up to him. Norman used to always give me tapes on him to study him. So to be able to do that was was pretty awesome. I mean, you build friendships and relationships when you're up there. It's like you meet John Cena, you know, you get to talk to guys like they're your brothers, you know what I mean? So Roman Reigns, you know, all these guys that you build this rapport with, you know, it's not fair to say just one moment, because you embrace everything when you're up there, to be honest with you. You know, you really do. So I don't think I really have one moment, but the one that sticks out to me that probably meant the most to me was having matches with William Regal in Deep South and learning and listening to him.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, very invaluable experience for sure. It sounds like it. And so Nico, for you now, if you had one ticket, a free ticket to either company, any promotion, I mean, you mentioned NWA, we have AEW, WWE, where would you go?
NWA.
NWA? Yeah.
I'm not the guy, I don't want to sound like the guy who knows best and then tries to, you know, teach others like what wrestling is about. I just would like to go to work there. It would probably be my dream place in terms of wrestling, because of all the reasons I explained earlier, of how, like, you know, wrestling is made, and how I could learn. And there's incredible talent there. I mean, Konnor mentioned the Rock and Roll Express. They still work for them. There are huge superstars, you know, or also people that I followed when I was a fan in their wrestling career. For example, when I was in that bad period of my life that I was mentioning earlier, I started listening to the Colt Cabana podcast. And that was something that, together with WWE, was keeping me attached, you know, to life, to wrestling in general. And seeing from where he started to where he is now, I think that, for example, meeting him or working with him would be, that would be another dream match. But in terms of, you know, oniric dream, like you dream of doing something, because it's filled with great talent, and I love it. I love the kind of production that they have, and if I have one ticket, that's the promotion I would choose.
What can we expect for the future of Nico Narciso? Any long or short-term goals?
Wow, it's very hard to answer in this like right now in this period of time. I want to try to make savings in order to go to the US and try to get some experience there, because that's a part of the wrestling experience that I'm completely missing about. And it would probably have happened already if there wasn't this situation, because I've never felt, in the past years, I've never felt like I was ready, and I probably wasn't. So now that I think that I can stand well into some independent wrestling ring. I have contact, by the way. I have had wrestlers that I wrestled in Europe that work for many promotions, for many independent promotions in the US. There are some promotions that follow me on Instagram from Texas, from California, from New York. So I think that I could have a go there, and that's definitely among the things that I want to do, and in terms of a foreseeable future, something that can really happen. And then again, you know, my biggest goal, I don't want to declare it, because there's an old saying that goes, if you say things out loud, good things out loud, they probably don't happen. But the goal that I'm reasonably think that I can reach is having one match in a majors. That would fulfill satisfaction towards myself. I know, Konnor, you're right. Like, it doesn't matter how much you get. When I started wrestling, given my age, given that I started in Italy, a place that has no scene, when I started, I would have signed for half of what I did already. I would have signed. I would have said, okay, if half of what I already did is enough for you, yes, definitely. But now I did much more than I expected, but I want more. I feel like I've done nothing. You know, I really feel like I've done nothing, even though I know that from nothing to what I did, it really makes a difference.
but I feel I've done very little compared to what I can do. And the goal, the real, goal of myself, of me as a human being in wrestling, is having at least one match in a major, in a major, anywhere. Then everything from there up is all better than what I expect, because I want to prove to the kid that is inside of me that I can stay in that ring, regardless of what the ring is. NWA, AEW, WWE,
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. I just want to prove to the kid, that was watching wrestling, that was watching Ric Flair, Sting, or even the Ascension, maybe, that I can stay there, that I can.
Aging you again.
Oh man.
I was 20 years old again. I was a kid, but I was not a young.
No, that was a really good answer. I enjoyed that.
I got a question. I'm curious now because Nico, I want to know, like, the major, right? What's the, like, give us some detail on that. I want to know more about that. Like, what do you consider, like, what is Nico? Where does he want to go? Like, what is your target set on, and who is it with? I'm just curious. I want to know.
Again, it's for me, it's NWA. I know I'm being really generic when I say major, and it's not something that really stands out as specific. But yeah, I mean, a major for me, at least that's the perception you get in Europe, in European wrestling. A major for me is a promotion that has a TV contract and that has, like, a lot of exposure, and where wrestlers are treated as professionals. I was on TV, I was on Fight TV, I was on TV in the UK, but some of the wrestlers in those promotions were not even paid. Some of them would have to pay on top of going into the promotion for, like, maybe food or hotel or gas money to be featured on TV. My definition, what I would want to go for is NWA. Again, I repeat that, but any other place, if they would be interested in my work, if they would be interested in having me and featuring me, whatever I could be, the gimmick I am right now, another gimmick, whatever, that would work out, because again, it's just it's just the fact that going on with my wrestling career, I understood that much more than what I expected is possible. And now I want to play it, and now I want to play the game. I don't want to say, like, hey, I've got great stories for the future. I wrestled the last opponent of Eddie Guerrero, whatever person from my generation I could hop up to. Hey, I'm a wrestler. Oh, I remember John Cena, Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero. Hey, I've wrestled Eddie Guerrero's last opponent, and they would go, wow, I've seen it happen dozens of times. But that's not enough for me. That's just. That's just you telling yourself and other people the story. I want more. But yeah, that's the answer. I don't know if I've been accurate enough, Konnor. You tell me if you want to know more.
NWA, but with who? I'm curious. So, like, for me, it was, I wanted to go to WWE, and I wanted to, face Hulk Hogan. Like, I knew, like, I had a plan, a destination. So you got NWA, and who would you work there now? Would it be Trevor?
Trevor, Nick Aldis, Colt Cabana, even, like, the young guys that are in NWA and in other promotions. Saul Renaro is an awesome talent. You know him?
Oh.
So yeah, Saul Renaro is an awesome talent. I follow him. I have him as a friend on Facebook, by the way. He accepted me. He doesn't know me, of course. I've never met him, but he's awesome. He's just, like, very. It's very natural. Oh, another talent that I didn't mention, I don't know why, Matt Cross. I actually wrestled him in Switzerland. I think that is a very good explanation of what I was explaining as being himself, because he doesn't have, like, a specific gimmick, right? He is Mad Dog, but what does that Mad Dog mean? He's just himself. He goes out in the ring, he pours all the passion he has, all the heart he has, and people buy into it because it's him. And I take so much inspiration from Matt Cross, even because he's, like, I don't know, he's 5'10", 5'11". He's a short guy that had to work probably 2 or 3 times as much as guys like me that are tall, or the guys that are already, physique enough had to. So yeah, you know, there are so many inspirational figures in NWA, much more than everywhere else, I think. And that's my dream job place, actually. I think I'd go with NWA because of the studio wrestling and because of all the talent that is there. It's really cool.
A lot of thick history there too with the NWA.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Talent came out of that promotion. That logo is very special.
Oh yeah, and I would be honored. You know, I would be honored to just have one match there. It would be the hugest honor. Yeah, much more. Yeah, for example, if you go up to somebody, I've had a match in NWA, just a random person, and here in Italy, they would say like, "What the f is NWA? Are they the guys from with the boys in the hood?" That's what they would go in NWA. Whereas instead, if you go, I've wrestled Eddie Guerrero's last opponent, they would go, "Oh shit." But for me, as a wrestling fan, as a wrestling passionate, as a wrestling-hearted person, wrestling in NWA would be really the best. So I hope to make it.
That's awesome. I wish nothing but the best of luck to you. I really do, Nico.
Thank you very much, man. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you, and thank you for your time. Thank you, Jonah, for inviting me. It was really a good moment.
Don't play us out yet. Don't play us out just yet. I want.
Wait a second.
Sorry.
You damn rookie.
Konnor, I want to know what could some future plans that we could expect for you for the Awakening and for you yourself? What can we expect?
Yeah. So we've got a couple things on the table that you know, there is the possibility maybe that, you know, you might see us in one of those brands that Nico mentioned. You never know.
Ooh.
I don't want to spoil anything because, you know, it's like he said, you don't want to put it out in the universe because you don't want to jinx your self, right? So
yeah,
we've got a lot of good things. I think right now, you know, that are playing in our court. But you know, things are moving a little bit slower than usual for us, but it's okay. I've got a lot of things going on as well too. With, you know, I day trade during the day, and then of course the school is my biggest ambition. And so really quick, like you know, one of our next opponents, we've actually got March 19th against the Headbangers, which is super
nice.
Dope. Yes, my brother. And
that is awesome.
W Shamrock and Brawl, and so we're looking forward to just getting down and dirty with those two, man. I've known Chaz for a long time, so yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So as far as big plans go, we've got a few things in the works that we're excited about. You know, I look at it like this: Rock and Roll Express can still go. My God, man, that just
yeah.
And then I listen to Nico say he's 30. I just want to puke on him. You know, like, you still got your career ahead of you.
You're right. You're 100% right. I have no answer to that. I mean, when I watch the Rock and Roll Express, I'm amazed. I have the
and they still can go.
Yeah,
they
really well.
They can go much better than me for sure. Yeah, they're great. They're incredible. I really hope you are going to wrestle them in the future.
Well,
I really hope so.
Me too.
Yeah, I wish you luck. Yeah, seriously. And that really finishes us off, Konnor. You gave some great advice already. Any last wise words for Nico as he continues his career?
Yeah. So really quick, like some of the things I like to talk about with the students, there's you know, a couple things that always stuck out to me with my trainers and things that I've learned over the years. And, you know, one thing that I was always told was always be in the moment and never take it for granted. So, because, you know, when you walk out, for instance, if you walk out into, you know, your big dream job, always embrace that moment because you never know when it's going to be your last. And so you always want to be in the moment and just appreciate every opportunity that you get when it comes to being or doing something that you've worked so hard for. And another one that I love telling my students is that if you start stepping in shit for too long, you start to smell like it. So stay out of trouble and stay away from all the bad talking and all the bullshit political stuff that goes on, because that's not going to do nothing but hurt you in the long run anyways.
Thank you for that. It's true. I think that's true for almost Anybody. Hey, listen, both of you, thank you so much. This was awesome. This was the longest one, I think, to date. The longest
I am so sorry.
I love how you guys are able... No, don't apologize. This was, thank you so much for, letting it take up, this much of your day. And I appreciate everything that was said here. I'm happy you guys got to speak, and thanks again.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was awesome. I love the concept, and I love everything that you do. It's so unique and it's so different. And when I first saw it, I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. So
it means a lot. That really does.
Thank you for coming up with this concept.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I really
agree 100%.
Yeah, I hope it helps.
Yeah, it's the most unique interview I've ever had, and
I am again mentioning our incredible sponsors, Rattlesnake Pins. Now, if you heard me mention them 2 times before and you're hearing this for a 3rd time, why haven't you already ordered some pins at this point? You are an hour deep in the episode. Go on your phone, order some Rattlesnake Pins, and type in RRR15OFF upon checkout to get yourself 15% off. Courtesy of Rewind Recap Relive, of course, your next Rattlesnake Pins order. Go to this link right here or in the description box below, and I'll see you soon.
Messy Daddy, Boogie Woogie Man feel good. I tell my people, my brothers and sisters, don't you dare miss online. Rewind, recap, relive. Oh yeah.